All right. Rock and roll. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Shark Tank Hangover. Literally tonight is going to be a hangover because my guest family are all drinking like drunken sailors, and we're going to hear them all nonstop. But hopefully it doesn't matter because she's a rock star. This is Kelley Coughlin, formerly Kelley Weaver of PurseCase fame.
Other way around.
What?
I'm Kelley Weaver, formerly Kelley Coughlin.
Oh, shoot. All right. Well, wishful thinking on my part. Kelley Weaver, formerly Kelley Coughlin of PurseCase fame and a partner with Lori Greiner. Kelley, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So it's almost what, midnight where you're at?
11:45 p.m.
Bring your A game. Before we start, what's the latest with PurseCase? When I emailed my list and told them you were going to be on the show, I had a couple people ask what you've been up to, what the latest is, and I just posted a text update on the blog, but go ahead and share it with us anyway.
Well, thanks. I loved seeing the update, and I just actually flew in from Knoxville, Tennessee today. I was with Rick Hopper from Read Arrest. We were at a trade show for souvenir and gift. It was in Sevierville and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And I think it was our 13th trade show of this year. The first one we did was in January of this year. And that month we did, the numbers that we did in all of 2014. So this has been by far our best year yet. And we're in over 2,000 boutiques nationwide. And we really got like mom and pop gift shop, hospital gift shop, Ace Hardware store route. And it's been such a eye opener because since Shark Tank, I thought like that was sort of like the spike. And it's been cool because it kind of leveled out and plateaued last year. And then now it's just been up. So
now
really exciting.
People who absolutely love it, right? They can't get enough of it. I mean, who wouldn't? It's beautiful. It looks beautiful. I love it.
You have an old version because now our pocket mirror is detachable now. You can take it out, use it on the road. But really the game changer, TJ, was this crossbody strap. It's a chain that you can add on. You just hook it right on and you can wear it sort of hands-free. And this is what people won't even buy the PurseCase without this. Lori and I are talking about selling these just as a bundle together instead of, selling them individually because people really love the chain.
I think I was going to say you sent me a chain, but that was an ancillary add-on item, right? Because I think there was one chain and a couple purse cases. But
yes,
the person that I gave it to test it said that the chain was like their favorite part because they wore it all the time.
Yeah, so that's been a really cool sort of evolution of PurseCase.
Pigeon Forge, is that the town that looks like Las Vegas in the middle of?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I was not expecting it to be so happening. We went out like every night. We went to the Dixie Stampede and like saw the Christmas horse show. It was so fun.
For anyone who doesn't know about Pigeon Forge, put that on your bucket list. Make sure you go.
I'm going back.
The Dixie Stampede, and you can ride go-karts at like 20 different places after midnight. And I'm sure there's like stuff to do there that I don't even know about yet.
I mean, laser tag, indoor massive water park. It was insane. Like what's it called? Alpine slide. Like if I was, 5 years old and I'm 28, it was amazing. It was like, I wanted to stay for another 5 days.
I have relatives in Knoxville and I went to go there because they live there and they like hate it because it just brings in crazy people, but they never heard of the Alpine slide, which is probably my favorite thing to do while I was there. So their loss.
Yeah, I know. I was blown away. I was like, goodness gracious, there's a lot going on here, and they even have Uber there. Thank goodness.
Wow. We sat in traffic for like an hour on this quarter-mile stretch of street there. It was ridiculous. So now. It's interesting having you here because you're a partner with Lori, and so if I have to make sure I watch my mouth tonight and not say anything insulting about any of the entrepreneurs, especially if she did deal with them. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good show, with the exception of one person who kind of got like completely thrashed, and that was this one, and they were Wink. I got not a whole lot to say here, but I want you to start. What were your thoughts on Wink?
Well, I'm an ice cream fanatic and I'm an ice cream person. Like it's on my last meal, chocolate ice cream. And so they had me in the beginning, but everyone's reactions were that it tasted terrible. So, I mean, I liked the concept, but I'm not keen to, I'm not like going to be looking for it elsewhere. It just made me want my actual ice cream. You?
Yeah, hold on. Audio check. All right. Yeah, when Robert said I'm an expert ice cream connoisseur, my
Oh, I
thought
know.
was
I love that.
like, he thinks he's a connoisseur. Like if it was the old days and I had a glove, I would give him the slap and we'd have an ice cream duel because I'm actually the connoisseur. Like there's no way he loves ice cream more than I do. So my first reaction is always, please don't screw with ice cream. Like we're trying to screw with the internet. We're screwing with everything that works. Like just leave ice cream alone. I was really terrified that they were going to have a bad. That's kind of what happened. I felt bad for him. Like you're messing with something that's already perfect. If Mark Cuban and Phyllis from The Office are lactose intolerant, like it's their problem. It's not mine. I'm sorry. That's not very compassionate, but just don't mess with it. And unfortunately,
I even like the dairy-free stuff. I mean, in LA, there's this place called Kippy's in Venice Beach that makes like ice cream out of coconut. I mean, it's incredible. I love it.
Hold on. I'm messing with your sound here. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, you popped in out there. So yeah, my wife was telling me that on Instagram, there's all these people who make natural ice cream and they use coconut or they use frozen bananas, which actually doesn't sound terrible to me. It's probably the stuff that Bluebell tried with their non-fat ice cream for a while that actually tasted like mush banana baby food. So seriously.
Do you eat baby food?
I did that one night on accident, a jar that said non-fat ice cream, but that was the last time. So no, honestly, I felt kind of bad because I have a client right now that I'm working with and they have chocolate that is dairy-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, GMO-free. And when they were sending it to me, I said, look, I gotta be honest, this all means that it's going to be taste-free. And if it doesn't taste good, I'm not going to work with you. But their product was actually very good. And Kevin took that line tonight and ran with it. I thought that's so funny because that's my immediate reaction when you take all that good stuff out. But, Sweet Eats are actually tasty chocolate, but for ice cream, $534,000 in 3 years. First initial reaction might be that's not too bad, but in the foods business, you have to sell tons of volume to make any money. So in my opinion, not so good. Even if they do 650,000 sales this year, he said they probably only going to make 50,000 in profit. That just gives you an idea of how much you have to
hustle.
So 30 Whole Foods, 180 stores coming up this year, and their co-packer screwed up and cost them 60,000 of inventory. Did your co-packer ever screw up and cost you 60,000 with your PurseCase? Has that happened before?
You know, I've never referred to it as a term co-packer for us because we just have a manufacturer, but we've had to reject some inventory, yes, but it's not been to the tune of $60,000. It's been like 1,000 over 3 years.
Well, yeah, I was being retarded when I said that. But the thing is, like, if you have a supplier who screws up $60,000 of inventory, they made it sound like that's why they lost money this last year. And maybe for orders, but there's no way if someone's freezer goes bad, I'm holding the bag for $60,000 in lost product. Like, it's not going to happen. So, but they didn't explain that on the segment.
Well, I remember on one of the Beyond the Tanks Plated said they had that problem with like their, you know, they had a storm and the electricity went out and they lost all their food.
Yeah, I remember one of those. That one of the natural cookie people had that happen, or maybe a tornado knocked down their business.
Sounds scary. Food sounds scary.
Totally. Food is scary, especially frozen food. Very scary. I feel bad for the guy because this is like what he eats and there is a niche there. But the one thing that was surprising to me when I saw this is, and tell me if you remember, Kevin knew the calorie count of a pint of ice cream, of like premium ice cream at 600 calories. I didn't know that. Maybe it's because I don't count calories. I'm like, that guy really does know everything.
What you don't know doesn't hurt you.
Stick with that. I like it. It's too bad that wasn't a question on Jeopardy because he got raked on Jeopardy and they didn't ask any ice cream questions.
Because I don't want to know how many calories it is.
Right. You don't eat ice cream so that you can count the calories as your digestion. Like that doesn't work. So objections here. Why 200 calories instead of 100? I thought Kevin had the best question actually out of all of them. If there's 600 calories in the, a Haagen-Dazs, why go to 100? Why not just stick with 200 or 300? Barbara Corkin, it doesn't have any taste. Mark Cuban, my wife has to pay the penalty when I eat ice cream because I'm lactose intolerant. Is your husband lactose intolerant, Kelley?
No, but he's like the cookie monster. Like he would much prefer to eat a cookie than ice cream, which I think is so bizarre because I'd much rather have ice cream.
Really?
Yeah, okay. He's a cookie person. He likes ice cream, but not like I do.
If you heat the cookie up of the pancake that I get, but cookies over ice cream, no.
He likes to dunk them in milk. I mean, I get that. I like that too, but
as long as he's not like as long as he doesn't.
No.
That'd be a deal breaker. Totally.
And he loves chocolate. That's good.
Yeah, totally. Kevin O'Leary said, look, it's taste free. I mentioned I've been saying that for years. And then he was kind of harsh on him, just said it tastes like crap. It's a crappy product. You know, you have to sell to people who like crap. They kind of got a little emotional. And after they didn't get a deal, the Sharks started jumping back in and be like, you know, it's okay. Like there's people out there who want it and don't give up and rah, rah, rah. And that's always kind of sad. I just like doing the Eeyore, putting my head down and going, oh, those poor guys.
Their sales weren't that bad, you know. That's 500. I mean, it's not terrible. They're doing something, but they're not making enough to take it home.
I mean, the market exposure they need and the shelf space to make this work, they've got a ways to go. My thought was, and you've been there, you do all this work to get on the show. You spend so much time, you invest so much of yourself, and then to not have it go very well. And they kind of have that thing where they're like, I know you guys were excited about this. It didn't go well, and they're just walking out with their heads down. Like, how bad would that suck? Because you had a great segment. Do you have a nightmare about working out like this?
Well, it's funny because when you're on set, you can tell instantly what happened, because the people are either super excited and giddy and walking on a cloud, or their tail is between their legs and they're looking at the ground, or they want to just get the hell out of there. Like, so we didn't even have to ask, you know, how did it go? They had it written on their face, you know?
Yeah. Poor Wink. I spent much time with the Shark Tank shrink afterwards. Did you ride in the golf cart and have a take?
No, we were like, thanks, we're good.
I bet Wink.
So funny.
Yeah, they probably needed like the stretch golf cart with the NFL one with the little flatbed in the back, so you can kind of lay down and get some air. That's probably the one they were on. So yeah, Wink. I think we're done with that one. Did you see the Tipsy Elves update? I want to touch on that real quick. Did you watch the ugly sweater segment? And if you did, what are your thoughts?
I have to say I was Skyping with Saavy, so I did not see that.
All right. Well, then let's talk about Saavy.
Yeah.
Your buddies, right?
You can tell me about the Tipsy Elves update, because I did watch their Beyond the Tank.
Well, I tried to have Tipsy Elves on the podcast like a year ago before they did Beyond the Tank, and I never got a response from them. I did see them on someone else's real short, like 10-minute show. And if I don't get a response, I've learned that typically it's because they don't want to talk about something. So I assume it's bad, but it looks like they're doing pretty good. They said 10 million in sales since they aired. The ski suits they have, like super retro, hardcore nerdy, like the kind of stuff my mom would try to make me wear when I was a kid. But now
that's fun. There's a market for that.
Gosh, they were hilarious. Like ski suits you would wear in Hawaii scuba diving. That's the best way I can describe it to a blind person. And then they've got the promo for the Seth Rogen movie, which they showed a commercial for afterwards, and they're going to sell a ton of sweaters. Let's be honest. I think the sweaters will make more money probably than Seth Rogen's movie will. That's my prediction.
Wow.
Well, his last movie like bombed horribly. So you hear the Steve Jobs movie didn't even make like $10 million. So who knows? So Saavy Naturals, the whole reason we were excited about this is, you know him, you Skyped the show and you gave him a 3-hour preview jump on their episode tonight. Like, I'm going to shut up. Tell me all about it.
I mean, I have goosebumps thinking about it. Although I'm kind of sad because their website did not hold up.
Oh no. This is them right here, by the way, for people who are wondering. Saavy. There's Hugo
and Deborah. I've known them for many years. I knew them at their old company, actually. I do PR. I did PR for them about 7 years ago when I was first starting, and I've kept in touch with them. Like, we invited them to our wedding. They've been really close friends of ours, and they had this horrible situation where they, had to basically leave what they had created behind and start afresh with Saavy. And that was about 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And it was right around the time when I was starting PurseCase. And it's so incredible to see where they've come. And they were so nervous about doing Shark Tank, and they really, they were like, should we do it? Should we not? I said, you guys have got to do it. Everyone's going to fall in love with you. You guys have a great story. But they were nervous about the old company, and, nervous about being torn apart. So I actually practiced with them, like possible questions and everything, because they're so sweet and nice, but they're, like I thought that sometimes people get torn apart for that in Shark Tank, so we had to like practice the numbers with them and make sure that they were ready. And poor Hugo was like so scared the week before. And, but they pulled it off. They did phenomenally well. And everyone in the room that I was watching it in was like, I love them. And I love them. And I think they came across so well. I mean, and they're so happy about working with Barbara. And, I want to hear your take on it. And then I can tell you about their viewing party that they had in real time in California too.
The viewing party, you should have been like emceeing and hosting, right? And you're in Tennessee, so that's a bummer. But
I'm in Boston now.
Oh, okay. All right. And so the cool thing about the hangovers, I got to be a little more brutal on the podcast to try to be as nice as possible. But my favorite line was Barbara's. They still got to pay the rent, baby. That's the name of this segment. Got to pay the rent, baby. Because Lori was trying to tell.
I know, but I like that she called Lori baby, because I was like, interesting.
It was great. And the thing is, this is careful, because when Lori goes out, she tries to she's like the Paula Abdul of American Idol, right? She's like, how can I go out as nicely as possible without it being awkward and still say, no, I'm totally not interested at all.
Yes.
She's like, you guys are great. And no matter what happens, you're going to have each other and I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope so. So curious, this $10 million company they built up, and then it sounds like they got muscled out of it, Gordon Gekko, Wall Street style.
It was nasty.
Well, you were their publicist, which I didn't know. Was it your fault? Are you the one who brought all these people?
No, God, no. And I was only doing one project with them, so you can't blame it all on me. But no, they got some investors who were actually like, their interests were also with that Monsanto company that had all these, horrible press. So the whole thing was just a mess. And then they basically got muscled out of their company. And I mean, I can say it because this is a hangover, but it's called Hugo Naturals, so it's got Hugo's name in it. And then they changed it to Hugo and Deborah Naturals. And, they basically got muscled out. The company still exists, but barely. They're hanging by a thread. They left, and a week later, they were doing $17 million a year with Whole Foods, with Hugo Naturals. They basically invented or like created that natural category with them. They had these standards for quality, purity, natural, but they also had these like bright, vibrant colors, like blue and purple and red. And so all these companies, like, I don't know which ones, but companies such as Burt's Bees and things like that that were in the natural sort of beauty product space said, there's no way that these people are natural. They're using like that stuff is blue, like that doesn't even exist in nature. And Deborah and Hugo had like flown to Japan to get this, mineral that was, blue in pigment. And they literally, put it into it's just incredible the lengths that they go to make it beautiful and completely natural. So Whole Foods created a whole category for Hugo Naturals that was like, basically they set a new standard for natural in that industry. So, this was a huge, huge business for partnership between them. When they found out that Hugo and Deborah left, they pulled out of all of their deals with them within 2 weeks of them leaving. And same with all these different stores. So when they said they've done this before, it's so true, and really the company was booming, and then it just has plummeted. And, I think they've been cautious because they've been in litigation with their old company. And so now that everything's closed, it's awful. Like they didn't even pay them their last paycheck sort of thing. And I just am so glad that that's behind them, and this is a new chapter for them, and it's just going to be amazing. I mean, how could you not love them?
Yeah, they're pretty lovable. I'll be honest. Big lovability factor. Now, let's talk about this segment. I want to go over my observations first before we break it down. One, Robert got smashed again. I know you haven't probably seen my last couple hangovers, but there's always a theme of Robert getting kicked to the curb. Robert Curb, or like a word association. And this keeps happening on the show. He's got to be going freaking crazy. Like when he was on the fit board, he looked happy, but I think he was working out all this deal aggression.
Well, I'm not a big Robert fan, so.
Tell me why.
Because he was not nice to me. And how can you not be nice to me? He was like, I just got back from Europe and I saw these things all over Europe, and for that reason I'm out. And I was like, okay, I don't like you anymore. Bye.
Look at that.
No, and he's really little. Like I'm almost 5'10". So, you know, I walked in and like they're all really little except for Mark. And so I was like, you're just like a little human being. And I like Mr. Wonderful because I think he's funny. I think he's so branded. Like I love his one-liners. So he's a little man that I can like.
And he mentioned tonight he has an Adonis figure, which I had to pause.
I loved that. And Mark was funny. I thought he was better on that thing.
Yeah, but I think Kevin goes through a thesaurus or like a pocket dictionary between every segment. He's like, you know, when you have friends who are like in this conversation or on this sales call, you got to use this word. And they're all just like, if you telemarketers do this all the time, right? You have to say this stupid word, or radio shows do it. I think Kevin does that on the show, but he doesn't tell anyone. He's like, today I'm going to use the word Adonis, and tomorrow I'm going to use this Greek myth. And I can't wait for it. I love it. But Robert got smashed, and here's what happened. Barbara, who obviously they had their heart set on, has a long negotiation with them, offers them $200,000 for 50%, which let's talk about their valuation. They wanted $200K for 10%. So $2 million valuation, which Kevin kind of unloaded on him about that.
By the way, they wanted it to be for like 2% or something. And I was like, that's not going to fly. They went back and forth about what they were going to ask for.
For $200,000?
Well, they wanted to ask for more money, and then, you know, in Shark Tank, you can go, the percentage can change, but the money that you ask for has to be met by the sharks. Do you know that? Like you can't go down, yeah. And so I said, you know, like make it as low as like whatever the money that you actually really need to make this happen for you, but like don't go above, because that could screw you. And you want to, you know, they really wanted a partner, and we're so happy that they walked out with one. So, and they weren't laser focused on Barbara. They actually wanted Lori too. They wanted one of the girls.
Interesting. I thought just read that. They hand-fed Barbara the product. And that was my next question for you. Have you eaten much of Saavy Naturals? Like, is it part of your regular diet?
I tasted it. I mean, it's brown sugar scrub, so it tastes like brown sugar.
So you can put it on your oatmeal? Because that would be cool. It looks really good.
I mean, it's not made to eat. It's made for the shower, but it's awesome. And people with like eczema and really sensitive skin swear by it. And I love it, obviously, but I've been using it for 3 years.
Yeah,
it smells amazing. I mean, their products are awesome. They have these bath bombs that like explode in the. Oh, I taped their audition video.
What?
Yeah, I went to their factory and taped it for them. I videoed it and I cued them with the questions.
Wow.
So they did this bath bomb and it showed their personality, and I was like, "You're gonna get on the show." So I take partial credit.
You should be a partial partner. I think you should probably get 7.5% minimum.
Well, I hope their site goes back up so they can capitalize on it.
Right. Hold on a minute. Hold on. What kind of consultant are you? I don't know what your fee is, but you're recording the video, so you got that out of the way. Good job. I whoop-de-doo for you. But what about the site? Where are you?
Well, I said probably 8 times, switch to Shopify, switch to Shopify, switch to Shopify. It's never failed us, knock on wood. It's never failed us. I don't know half the time when we're going to re-air. And all of a sudden it's like Christmas on my phone. I get these notifications. You've sold, X amount of $1,000 of PurseCase. And I'm like, whoa, cool, awesome. While I'm like on my morning run or whatever. I mean, it's just like, you never know when it's going to happen. And so I said, you need to be prepared. And I guess Shark Tank had told them that they should expect about 75,000 hits to their website during the segment. And so they scaled their bandwidth up for 100,000 or hits or sales, I can't remember. In the first 3 minutes, they had 180,000 people add it to their cart.
Holy smokes.
Which I think is a record.
It went down? That's bad news.
The site did not crash. You can still go to it. In fact, I should check it, but you could go to it, you could go to the product, but then you couldn't get to the next checkout page. So they had 180. But the good news is I told them to set up retargeting before with AdRoll. And so hopefully we can capture those customers. But I mean, there's definitely missing. It's a bummer.
Are you doing?
And we were handling their Twitter. My team was up there with them tweeting, and everyone was tweeting, how do we get it? How do we get it? And one of the tweets was like, it's been a while since we've seen something so good that the site crashed.
Well, did you, are they doing any kind of lead magnet or email capture incentive or anything like that so they can put those people on their buying list?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Shopify brags that they've never crashed. And so I tell people to go to sharktankpodcast.net/Shopify and get themselves set up if they're going to have traffic spikes or if they just
Absolutely.
Shopify is awesome. So yeah, they got to do it.
They're up, you guys. They're up. It's happening.
They're done in the West Coast, so they should be good now.
No, but I mean, I just added it to my cart, so we're good.
Awesome.
Hallelujah.
So Barbara went out of the deal. Robert.
No, which I was surprised because I knew the outcome. I was like, wait a second.
You're not supposed to know. So short, skinny Robert that you don't like gives him an offer. Barbara jumps back in, says, I want to edit my offer. 100,000 in cash, 100,000 for purchase orders, 40K for 100%. And they do the deal. What's interesting though is I don't know. I guess they just wanted a deal, period. So good for them. But 200,000 for 10%, which imputes a $2 million valuation, as Kevin would say. And they did a deal at 40,000 for 100%. So I'm sorry, for $100,000. So yeah, they're at about 220 total valuation now. Quite a hit. 90% hit on valuation. Are they going to knock it out of the park, Kelley? They have 750,000 sales in the last 12 months.
They're going to kill it because they haven't even capitalized on their website yet. I mean, their website has gotten nothing. And now that it's back up, hallelujah, and it's only 3 hours later, I think it's going to be incredible. Because my experience was, well, one, just the products are incredible. Like they're one of these things where if you give it to someone once, they're hooked. You know, you can't use anything else. Like they're the best products ever, and I'll send you a basket of them. They're amazing. But I think that, you know, that combined with, I thought that the show did a great job of capturing who they are and who they were, and not focusing on, you know, because they could have really twisted it and been like, you know, well, why did you sell out to your old partners and blah, blah, blah. And it could have gone really like, oh, maybe you're bad at business and good at love or whatever. And instead, I think it just portrayed them, their products, in a really positive light. And, you know, they did really want a deal because I think they wanted to create something, and they wanted a fresh start. And they've been burned in the past, but they just thought, you know, they've also seen my experience with, you know, being on Shark Tank. And I think, you know, and I got a deal, and part of me, I said to them, you know, take the deal if you can. And Deborah said she had that in her mind, you know, and because afterwards you can negotiate. And, you know, so I think it was a good thing for them to do that, because if you walk out, it's kind of like, well, then you're never going to see or talk to them ever again.
Yeah, it's true. I tell people to listen to the show, and I wrote it in my ebook that you helped me contribute. On air, do the deal, because chances are you're going to get that phone call the next morning and things are going to change anyway. So shake hands, make friends, and then just clear it up afterwards.
And they did do the deal. They did the deal. They're partners with Barbara, which is so awesome. And the other exciting news was that Cousin's Maine Lobster came and catered their party tonight, which is so cool.
Very cool.
And they had a shark cake. I sent you a picture.
Yeah, I saw that in my text. That was very cool. No, those viewing parties crack me up. It's too bad you weren't able to go. I've only been to one, but I'd like to go to a couple more. They're just a blast.
They were going to do a huge production, like at, you know, a hotel or something, and, you know, for everyone. And I said, do something low key with your team, you know, because you're going to want to be babysitting the back end. And thank God, because they were able to get this situation handled. My whole team was up there, 4 of them, handling the Twitter. So if you liked their Twitter tonight, that was my guys. They're great.
I'm going to go harass them after we're done. See how
no, they're done now.
Good. They'll be defenseless. I'll let them have it. All right. Well, I would like to have them on the show. My wife would love to try the product. I don't want to be tempted to like drink the shower water because it tastes sweet. So I don't know if I'm going to go that route or not, but I don't want to get addicted. We'll see. But enjoyed the segment. Loved Hugo and his wife. A lot of fun. And if they're only in Whole Foods and doing 750,000 annually, like I would think that they're probably just crushing it already ridiculously. And Barbara's going to be very happy with her deal. My opinion. We'll see if I'm right.
Well, and they've gotten into Ulta now since they filmed it, and they far surpassed 1 million even before the show. So
I don't hear a lot about Ulta on Shark Tank. I don't think I've heard anyone talk about Ulta for 2 seasons. That's interesting.
They had an pre-existing relationship with them, and same deal. They had dropped the old line.
Very cool. Oh, and the whole story about them meeting and not talking for 12 or 17 years and then getting that phone call, that was kind of scandalous, right? Have you ever gotten that?
That they showed that.
Because I've gotten that email before, and that to me, it's like, that's always interesting. They cut it off, though, so I'll have to ask them about that when they come on. Crack me up.
Hugo actually, I think he found a long-lost relative on Facebook after that. Incredible.
I know you've gotten that Facebook message, Kelley. I'm sure you have. We've all been there. All right, Clean Cube. I got a picture here for Shark Tank fans who don't remember. This is Clean Cube. And I'm going to go first on this one because here's the deal. I actually did some consulting work with a kiosk company that did the deal with McDonald's. McDonald's is trying to save their company by having a Big Mac Your Way ordering system. And this process is tedious, it's long, it's expensive. It takes like a year for us to get the deal approved, and then implementation almost doubles that. So when I saw these, I thought, very cool idea. Don't know if it's going to work just because kiosks they're hit and miss, right? And I live in Phoenix. Like, we don't have stuff like this in Phoenix. We don't need stuff like this in Phoenix. New York, Boston, LA, no, not even LA, but San Francisco, I get it. What are your thoughts?
So I liked the design of it and everything. So there's an Amazon locker right next to my office, and it's essentially like the same idea where you can pick up and drop off Amazon packages right there outside of 7-Eleven. Every time I've tried to use that locker, and it was about the size of the one that they showed on the show, my box has either been too big and they're saying, your dimensions won't fit in this location, or it's been full. So I've never even used it for those reasons. And so when I looked at that, I thought, same thing, good idea. I like the concept, but I just think, what was it, like 500,000 or 300,000 to put it in or something?
Yeah, I have 3,000 written down, but I don't think that covers
3,000
for installation. I don't have the cost.
Oh, maybe I heard that wrong, but I thought it was a lot more than that. I just thought, gosh, that's
with larger screens, and we sold them for, this thing would have cost 60,000 to sell to someone. So maybe 30,000, depending on how much hardware is in it. But yeah, it's a protracted transaction. You've got to have retail space, and someone, who was it? It might have been Robert, actually. He said, in a world of faster delivery and immediate satisfaction, you're relying on physical space. I think it's a bad strategy. I totally agreed with him on that. I think unless it's just for the idea they mentioned, and Barbara touched on this, the sweet spot of units that don't have a doorman from 60 to 100 units. Outside of that, I think the monetization strategy is scary. It's my opinion.
What were you doing with Big Macs and kiosks?
So, sounded weird, right? Well, with Big Macs and kiosks, so I don't know if you've been reading the news lately about McDonald's, but they're getting their market share eaten up, literally having their lunch eaten by all the competitors.
Oh, bring the breakfast back. I loved that.
Yeah, breakfast 24 hours a day, which
I
Taco
love
Bell.
McDonald's breakfast.
But yeah, you love it enough to eat it like at 8 o'clock p.m. Are you that brave?
Oh yeah. I mean, not on a regular occasion though. Like maybe once a year.
All right. So
Not this year because I was just in the South and I had too many biscuits.
So McDonald's had an initiative started about a year ago, and Taco Bell's done it also, where they said, look, the next step in our evolution is going to be customizing the order, right? If like their competitors that are kicking their butts, Subway, Chipotle, think of the places you go where you can kind of customize your menu. You can't do that at McDonald's. Or you to customize the order so you can go up and you can actually touch the items you want and put together, create your own meal. And my firm was selected for this. They got a huge contract, a huge regional rollout, and there were different regions that had other contracts, but it's just like the tediousness of the selection process and the location and installing them and then working out all the bugs. Like it's all the things that Uber isn't, you know, and all the things that Airbnb isn't. They just work and there's no hardware involved. Whereas these are kind of a middleman solution until they figure out what the next big thing is. So I look at this and go, you know, are they going to put these all over New York like your Amazon box? Well, Amazon does that because they're trying everything and seeing what sticks. But if these guys are going to compete in that space by themselves, I think they stay in New York. I think they stay in San Francisco. And I think they serve that niche that they've already monetized. I put them at bins and train stations and out in the open public.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think there's a huge barrier to entry. You need a lot of capital to make that happen. And there's specific markets. I mean, maybe like internationally that could be useful, like in China or, you know, like where there's so many people everywhere.
Yeah, in Europe, you're going to hate this line, but in Europe where they already have kiosks everywhere, like Robert said, but they're not using a subscription fee either. So I'm guessing the goal is to get enough users to merit a subscription fee and then like do the Netflix switcheroo where they raise the prices. And that's, oh, and by the way, they had 552 users in New York. Does that sound like a big number in New York City to you?
No.
Yeah, I think that's.
Oh, and they didn't one of them say one number and the other one said another. I was like, do you guys know your numbers?
Yeah, that's always fun. That's always good.
I mean, you're going into the Shark Tank. Like, did you not practice?
Whoa, now you're being a little harsh. You're supposed to be the nice one. You've been on the show.
I mean, I'm nice, but come on, you have to practice. I mean, you know that people are going to ask you how much money you've made and how many users you have. That's like, and what it tastes like, you know, those are like basic questions.
I mean, I look at the feedback. Robert, I already said what he mentioned about the relying on physical space. Kevin, what's the point of resistance? It's the protracted negotiation. Lori, I just have I'm out written. I think she went out immediately. Mark Cuban, I don't see the wow factor. And Barbara, terrific business for one single facet. Focus on that. Nothing else gets me excited.
I was kind of bummed for them when Barbara went out.
You thought Barbara was like the saving grace, the ace in the hole?
I don't know. Like, I just thought, oh gosh, if she doesn't like it, then maybe it's not good.
Why? Because Kevin claims she doesn't know math?
No, because she sort of understands New York City real estate.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was the only one who was positive on that single facet they had. If landlords are paying you to put it in and solve their problem, like, run with that. See what happens. But I agree with you. Okay, so this is the one, aside from Saavy, that I'm most excited about. You recognize? Yeah. And now I look at it again. It looks like it looks like Kevin's wearing those stretcher rockers or Skechers. What are those called? The Kim Kardashian shapers? Doesn't it look like he's wearing shapers?
That, you know what? Oh, shapers. I thought you were talking about those shoes that had like the curved bottoms.
Yeah, what are they called? Shapers?
Well, that's what this reminded me of when I first saw it. And didn't they prove that actually had no effect? So I was thinking, okay, this could be kind of cool, but then I don't know. And then my little brother, I was watching the episode of my little brother, and he's like, plays college baseball. And so he was like doing the side to side move, and he was like, yeah, like I would go like, I was like, I don't think it's made for like a college athlete. It's made for like a woman.
Yeah, I saw your brother. He's a buff dude. He's going to need those 1 pound weights that Mark Cuban's using if he's going to really feel the effects of this. I think you got to give him some of those. But yeah, and
it's funny to watch him imitating it.
Get him in here. him and your husband could do the shimmies like these two. Yeah.
My husband actually thought it was kind of cool.
Well, here's the deal. So I was talking to my wife when I was in my grandparents' house in LA. They live in Orange County. They have this piece of square plywood that's got like this lady doing the hipster on it. And it's got the cylinder on the bottom with the ball bearings. Does the exact same thing. They've had it for like 60 years and they probably got it for 50 cents at a garage sale back then. And I thought, is it really true that there's nothing new under the sun? I mean, this is like a hula hoop that you put underneath your feet. And they've sold it.
Yeah, but it's cool. I think they're, what Lori said when she went in was like, we gotta, there's nothing really proprietary that they have some sort of patent on like the what was it that the term that they used, like the platform.
Yeah, she said it was on not their bundle, but it wasn't their technology. Shoot, what was it? I didn't write it down.
It began with a P, I thought, but anyway, we'll remember it later. But anyway, she said, this will be knocked off, so we need to hit it hard and fast. And in a way, I mean, PurseCase has a patent, a utility patent, but it's the same thing. We knew off the bat that people are going to rip us off to some degree, and you just got to be hard and fast about it and build a brand. And I think these guys really have the potential to do that. Especially if they hit QVC. I mean, that's going to be bad ass. Because let me tell you, I know the QVC audience, and they are skewed older, and everyone's going to be like, "Ooh, this would be cowl," Yeah,
and I'm not dogging on the product. I thought it was cool. I especially like the green one. I'm just like, it was like Jeff Foxworthy jokes about Southerners like being hypnotized by things that have glitter finish. That's how I feel about bright green. I'm just like, oh, I want it. It's cool. But they've done $575,000 in sales in 18 months, and half of that was profit. I'm thinking, yeah, run, ladies. This is fantastic. They've got a patent. You see them. I'm not going to do the math in my head. $9.87 to produce, $45 retail. Awesome. Good on you.
That price down, though, I think, with Lori, maybe to produce. I don't know.
Well, they'll have to give some of that up to QVC too. But I'm thinking, Grandma Gloria, you go, girl. I definitely.
It's going to be hard on QVC at that price. I can tell you that right now.
Because of I know it needs to be.
It's going to be hard. It's just going to be hard because they're going to want to buy it for like $10, and they're going to be like, okay, well, I make 1 cent a unit.
I talked to Aaron Krause this week for like an hour, and he told me that he went on Halloween and sold $350,000 in product on his segment, but he said he basically sells it on consignment. He goes, I'm just banking on people going and buying it at Bed Bath & Beyond if they don't want a 12-pack. Do you feel that way when you go on QVC, or do you try to squeeze every penny you can? I mean, you try to make money when you go on there.
QVC anymore. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, except something's wrong with the audio again. Awkward. Check. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the microphone fairy just attacked me. I don't know what happened. All right, so with these two, my question for you is, how long is it before this surge of sales kind of runs out? Like, how do they stay in front of the market with a product that's basically a skateboard with some interesting curves in it with no wheels?
I mean, I was hanging out this week with Rick from Redirest, and the guy is brilliant. He's done so well, and his product, he's evolved a little bit. He's created different markets for it, but it's essentially like, it's one thing. And it's, his 5th year doing it, and he's just crushing it still. More and more markets, more and more doors being open. He was like, I could either be at this show or making millions elsewhere. I mean, honestly, the guy is just brilliant. And same with Drop Stop. It's one product, and look how well they've done. Squatty Potty, one product. Look how well they've done. I mean, you don't even need to evolve it, It's like, yeah, they rag on these one-hit wonders, but like, look at how far the Scrub Daddy. I mean, yeah, he has the 3-packs now. He has, different types of things, but really, it's. I think that's one of our problems really is that we went for too many SKUs too fast. It's hard with the different phones, but also with colors. We wanted to make all these different colors, and that hurt us. And so right now we're in the process of scaling that back. And so I think something like this, where it's just like one mold, one size fits all product. Yeah, you can make it in the green for the Southerners and for you, but you can I think there's lots of different markets you can capture. Maybe even gyms want to stock this, and you go after that, or maybe, I don't know. I think that they'll have a long journey with this, like a solid 3-4 years.
I could see it. A journey like in the way that people on The Bachelor have a journey and it ends badly, or like the proper use of journey.
I don't know what the future would be for that. I don't know. Here's the thing: the Redirest and Scrub Daddy and even Biaggi now, he does really well on QVC. Every time they go on QVC with Lori, they do well. Every time and I think that these girls will have the same sort of success.
So in the negotiation, Kevin jumped in and said, I think you're going to need more money for inventory. So, but he does think it's going to find a niche in the 40 and over market. So he offered him $250,000 for 30%. Robert went out because there's nothing proprietary. Barbara said it's going to need an infomercial, and she has a really bad history with infomercials. So she went out. Mark Cuban said he's not a network marketing guy. I don't know if he was referring to like selling it to the Amway crowd or what, but he said he's out. And Lori Greiner, this is my favorite part of the segment, when she said, I'm the queen of QVC.
I know. I was thinking, is that so that if people, because she's on QVC, you have literally, the way they train you for QVC is that people are flipping through the channel. So you have to say something that, gets you in. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can say this. But everyone at QVC is probably going, oh, like, did you really, okay, I am the queen of PurseCase. We're talking.
What about Kevin? Well, I am the king of QVC. Yeah, you're the Joker. But, when Kevin was on my podcast, he said there's been a regime change. It was bloody. It was ugly. But now I've been coronated the king of QVC. And Lori's been displaced permanently from her kingdom. And I laughed hysterically because I kept waiting for it to come out on TV. And this is kind of the first time I've seen them discuss it. And now Mark has been on QVC. I'm sure Damon's going to go on soon. So Lori's going to huddle up in a ball and cry somewhere if these guys keep stealing all of her QVC thunder. Although that's probably not true. That's not fair because you're in tight with her and she has a lot of great entrepreneurs. But they'll just let any shark on QVC these days, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. Lori has a great thing going with QVC, but QVC is an empire. They have a great thing going. They do like $40 billion a year. That place is like a machine. They have it down to a science. It's incredible. It's so fascinating. As an entrepreneur, I would love for you to one day take a tour of that place and kind of understand the inner workings of it, because it is so smoothly run that, I was so blown away and impressed by the whole deal. They definitely have their systems down pat.
I'm looking forward to it. Aaron said he would give me a tour if I ever came to Pennsylvania, but who has time to go there? Not me.
It's in Westchester too, which is like an hour and a half from any airport.
A $40 billion organization. They're like, we need to find some cheap land somewhere where we can build our empire out of the way from.
Well, it's like a campus, like Google. It's like the QVC campus.
Because she's the queen of the QVC.
But she lives in Chicago, so she flies in. She flies in once a month or whatever. So I think the people who are there every single day are like, who's this self-inducted queen who comes in once a month?
So I don't know if you're one of those Shark Tank entrepreneurs who doesn't watch the show anymore, or if you catch it occasionally. You probably don't watch as much as I do because it's my job. But she did say when Kevin made an offer and then she made her offer for $125,000 for 20%, which the valuation was a little lower. She was looking at him and giving him the pitch. This is what I do. I make millionaires. And she said, based on our backgrounds, what do you have to think about? Mm-hmm. It's interesting because last week, Chris Sacco was on the show and he made he made a strong, heartfelt pitch to the ladies from STEM about how his daughters are growing up in a male-dominated tech industry and how much he wants to help and make this a reality. And then Lori said, well, I'm actually have something to say. And he's like, hey, if it's about a robot you built when you were 8 years old or how much STEM means to you as a woman, we don't want to hear that. And then he basically said, look at both of us, like who's in a position to help you? They chose Lori. So she used the same line today and they chose Lori also. I was dying because it was hysterical. I want to tweet Chris and be like, hey, did you catch that line about the backgrounds? Because last week they didn't listen.
She's done that a lot.
Oh, the team girl card or the background card?
The background card.
Yeah. I like Chris. Chris must be just laughing hysterically because last week those girls made a mistake because she did such a low deal valuation. I'm confident that deal did not go through as shook on, but Chris was the guy to do that without a doubt. Today it was Lori. I mean, Lori, I think it makes more sense for football.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, they tried to counter her for 18%. She said, no, it's a fair deal. I'll take 20 and the deal is done. And Mr. Wonderful didn't explode. So maybe he's okay with it.
I think that deal will go through. I think they'll do well.
Mark Cuban did a couple of head shakes though. I think he's gunning for Lori a little bit.
I think he's tired of her one-liners.
Yeah, maybe he hasn't said it out loud, but I'm sure maybe they cut it out. Who knows? All right, so that was it. I think that's all 4 of them. And thank you for letting me.
What about Jimmy Kimmel?
Oh, don't make me say anything bad about Jimmy Kimmel. What is he doing? I love Jimmy. I love Adam more, but I love Jimmy. What's the deal? Like,
would you put a cone on your kids?
I can, and I have. I want a multi-family cone, kind of like Toy Story when they're all crossed. Cones connect so they don't get separated. Why do they do that? What are they promoting?
I thought it was cute and funny, and my brother and my husband got really excited when he came on, like more excited than they had the whole episode.
That answers my question right there. Now I know.
So,
did they is your brother and your husband more likely to invest in horse pants or in kid cone? Which one are they more excited about?
Horse pants, probably.
I think Guillermo is actually underutilized in tonight's episode. That was what I was sad about because Guillermo is basically the star of the show now.
So I like when they do that because Shark Tank's gotten so huge and now these celebrities come on and I just love it. And celebrities often have said that it's their favorite show.
I don't doubt it. It wanted like Barbara, we know she's a cougar, right? She says and does some things that don't make it to air. I was looking for Guillermo to sit on her lap or, at least I don't know what I wanted. I shouldn't even say this. But I thought what was funny is when Jimmy ripped into Robert for not giving him the money. I just was picturing.
I know. I want to pitch this to everyone except for Robert.
I'm sure there were some Shark Tank vets sitting at home going, wow, Jimmy knows what's up. Okay, interesting. But $5 million.
Here's the thing about Robert that I've noticed. I used to think, so I did all my studying from seasons 1 through 4, right? Because I taped for season 5. So back then, Robert, like my husband and I would be like, oh, what a surprise. Robert's going out again. Like he never went in on any deals. And now he gives a lot of offers, but I feel like he must have gotten some static about that because he used to literally every single time it was expected. Oh, he's going to go out again. Oh, here he goes out again. It's like he's never going to give a deal.
Totally true in seasons 1 through 4. And then he started making more offers and not getting deals. And he and Mark compete. But as someone who's interviewed everyone who's been on the show, the biggest issue with Robert is that he doesn't give him the bag of money afterwards. He doesn't go through with a lot of his deals.
Yeah.
And no one ever talks about it. So I kind of don't talk about it that much either. But
I've heard that too.
I just wonder if all these guest sharks they're bringing on this season, if Robert's not gunning to keep his seat on the show. Because Chris Sacca was great. He was really good. I hope he comes back.
Oh, and I also didn't like, I didn't even mention this when I said why I don't like Robert, but I didn't like all that stuff with his wife and Dancing with the Stars and stuff. I didn't like that. They were like, oh yeah, his wife left him. I'm sorry. Why would his wife leave him? Give me 3 good reasons.
Yeah, I should really be careful here. I don't want to get a mean letter, but yeah, I read an article after it started to break and he was going to Dancing with the Stars that his kids weren't speaking with him. And as someone who comes from a family where some of the kids didn't speak to one of their parents for a while, like I kind of saw like I can relate with that a little bit. So there was an episode I used a soundbite for end of season 6, I think, where someone was negotiating against Barbara for Robert. And they asked if Robert and Barbara wanted to do the deal together. And Barbara knocked on him on the show and said, well, he's a great guy and he's handsome, but he's a pain in the butt to get a hold of. And that was her nicely saying, like,
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And when they put that in, I always wonder, like, are they trying to like let people know that's how it is or what? And this season, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs dog on Robert. I think someone's talking inside the entrepreneurship community. It's not me, just so everyone knows, but I think it's getting out a little bit because I don't think
I haven't heard that much about it, but I have heard. I've heard that from other people who kind of don't know. They're like, "Oh, we hear the worst one is Robert," and I'm like, "Oh, interesting, I guess." I also don't know any of. Well, here's the fact: I don't know any of the people who have actually done a deal with Robert, and it's gone through. And I know, like through family, friends. Remember those kid backpacks or something? Those guys, they did a deal with Robert a while ago, and I don't think that went through. But I don't know.
Yeah, the carrier, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did a deal with Robert on the show, and I don't think it went through.
I do know, and I'll tell you this, even though it's live on the air. In season 5, I don't know how many deals he shook on, but well, as far as I know, I think only one of them the whole season went through.
What was that?
I think it was the CrossFit one. I think that one did go through. But I've talked to everybody else that did a deal that season, and they're not working together. So, and usually they're kind of sly about it. They don't want to talk about it. I'm like, look, I just yes or no, did it happen or not? And they're like, look for me on an update. It'll never happen. So. Yeah, I think they're disappointed afterwards to learn what I think a lot of them really wanted a partner. They wanted someone to work with, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, one of the nice things about Lori too is that not only are you working with her, and she's hired a head of retail now that works with us and is very hands-on and fantastic. But also there's just this community of so many of them. Like I did the Ace Hardware show this summer, and I was thinking Ace Hardware for PurseCase, and like, we were crying when we were leaving. We had so much fun. We didn't want to leave. Like there was 11 of us in one aisle, of Lori's entrepreneurs, and just the camaraderie and like, being able to share, like Bambooey and I share an accountant and
Bambooey.
Yeah. And just like the resources that collectively, and Lori sort of facilitates that because she takes us all out to dinner and all this stuff. So I know Barbara does that too, but that's by osmosis, sort of being around these other Shark Tank people, you're going to learn a lot, So if he doesn't have that many deal people, then you're not joining this kind of like, because there is like, when I was with Rick at Readerest, it's like, yeah, we both got a deal with Lori and it's awesome and blah, 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 that's kind of cool.
Yeah, a lot of Mark Cuban's entrepreneurs talk about that. And lately Kevin's too. Kevin's got a nice little brood that he's working on.
Yeah, Wicked Good Cupcakes.
Wicked Good. Honey Fund is coming on the show next week. Bottle Breacher is doing awesome. And there's Oilery, someone else I'm interviewing soon, that they all seem to be doing well. They're working together. Wicked Good, obviously, who's now working with Dave Alwan on a joint little project. So it's good times. But
Honey Fund is a great idea.
What's that?
Honey Fund is a great idea. I knew about them before I went on the show. I toyed with the idea for my own wedding.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I didn't end up doing it because my family they weren't crazy about the idea, but one of my employees did a honey fund for her wedding, and they loved it. They went on they did their whole honeymoon on the funds that they got. And my recent friends that I was a bridesmaid in her wedding did a honey fund. So I think they're, the future of that. And just, there's a few different ones that do that on the market. And so the fact that they were on the show, I think just now they're going to be, the Match.com of that industry.
Yeah, there's a residual effect for all of them, but they're in the lead, right? They're the lead pony. Yeah. Well, I'm sure glad you stayed up, Kelley. I never get bored chatting with you, and I hope everyone enjoyed. We've had people tuning in and off throughout this whole thing, so I'm optimistic that they're really going to get a lot out of your insight. And tell your brother and your husband thanks for letting me steal you for a little while so we could get Shark Tank together.
I sure will. Well, thanks for having me. And it's my bedtime.
You're not even showing it at all. I couldn't tell. All right. Have a good night. Thanks for joining me.
All right, good night. Bye.